Derek Morin, welcome to Built to Sell Radio.
Hey, thank you, John. Thank you for having me.
Take me back to 2012 when you were designing websites for customers. What was that experience like? What were you doing?
Well, I started in 2012, something really small. I was in a coffee shop. I was listening to conversation around. There was a mortgage broker on the phone asking I need to send a newsletter. And I was like, oh man, I could do that. I know MailChimp. It's pretty easy. I could, build the list, build the design and send it. And then we sat down. I sat down with her and I left the coffee shop with actually a business that I didn't know I have before I entered the coffee shop. So this is how it started.
Oh, fine.
And then I started to build website with WordPress and everything, and gaining some clients there and there, which is kind of a similar story that you have in your book, Built to Sell. I didn't know exactly what business I was in. I was just chasing down clients, trying to make money. I was still young at that point. I had 24 years old, just out of university. But yeah, this is how it started.
And where did it go from there? How did it evolve? Because you went through a pretty big change in business model. Describe that.
Yeah. Well, from 2012 to 2016, I would say, retrospective, if I look at it, I would say I was going nowhere. We were making some money, trying to invest in some projects, but there was nothing solid, no vision. In 2016, I got into a small incubator called, well, it's not that small, called Founder Institute. It's worldwide, actually. But I got there with an idea that when we exited this incubator, I tried and it failed. But the learning that I got from this experience, it taught me to really build a product and not to sell services, and to try to productize a service with, like you described in your book, Built to Sell, with a step-by-step way to reproduce it without yourself. So
what was it about? What was it about a service business they were trying to have you avoid at this incubator? Why were they telling you to have a product or a productized service? What was their rationale for that?
I think I would say two main reasons, but it's a really good question. First of all, a service business for them is less fundable. They cannot, and second of all, it's less growable. The growth potential is less there because it relies on human and on time and on services that a human being, I think soon enough it's going to be AI, but a human being would perform. So for them, I would say growth and the factor of being able to be funded with their money, I think that's why they push on products. But they also said every good product, at least at the beginning, has a service attached to it. And a lot of big businesses has a small or medium or a large part of their revenue coming from services. But for them, the key, everything that they taught us, was to try to build a product that can scale without you involved in the daily operations. And that's what made me click that I need to build something like that. I didn't know what at the time, but I needed to build something like that.
And your first product was a failure? Describe that.
Yeah, the first product was, I really liked the e-commerce industry because I felt at end 2015, I felt it was ready to boom. I think I was right at this, if you judge now. And I tried something, was kind of a social commerce platform. So basically the main idea was that when people are shopping, it transformed the selfish experience of buying into something more collective. So for example, if you, John, you go there, you click to share on Facebook, it will modify the price for everyone else seeing that product in real time. So the pricing was affected by the behavior of the people, the traffic, for example, if you buy this, it goes up by $1. If you share this, it goes up by 50 cents. We were trying some experiments at this time. And we had the technology that allowed us to do that. It was young at that point. But yeah, this is something I think it was too ambitious, I would say. We were trying to compete against Shopify, for example. so it failed. We didn't have money, and yeah, that was the experience.
And Derek, who's the we?
I say we because at that point we were 4 people, but we were 2 people more involved in the operation and the idea generation and all the.
How many equity holders? Just you, Derek, or were there?
At this point, because it's kind of vague in my memory, we were 4 people, 2 from Canada, 2 from Romania, and like quite soon, I would say a month or 2 after we launched this experiment that failed, one of the partner, his name is Andrew, he left and he decided to join another company and do something else. But at that point, from 2012 to 2015 and 16 and beginning of 16, my partner and I, Hugo, and another Canadian, we invested in Romania in a company there called 𝙎𝙊𝙐𝙇𝙊𝙀 that was operated by Andrew and Bogdan. So we were kind of 4 people involved in this new experiment that we tried. It was called Walsh. But before that, we met those people online and we decided to actually invest money in the Romanian company there, just to be the developer and produce this new platform. Yeah.
Okay. So you and Hugo own the business that Andrew leaves, didn't work, and you guys are still together. Is Hugo, are you continuing to do work, web design and web development for clients as need be, or have you totally shut that down?
Yeah. At that point, we needed money to live. So yeah, we were continuing. And Bogdan also had some shares in our company. So we were kind of 3 people at this point. And of course, like our real job was to build website application software and stuff like that. We were not committed, especially because we had some failures in this project. This social experiment was another failure. So we were convinced that we needed to build a product, but we had so many troubles building one that we were like, okay, the easy path is to continue serving people with services. Yeah.
Yeah. I talked to a lot of people who have had a similar trajectory in the sense that the allure of a product business is very tempting. Yeah. They have a service company, they go for the product business, it fails, and they kind of go back into the warm embrace of the service industry where they have clients and they have, they can change everything for everyone that they do. And there's no need to really and it's, the story ends there for a lot of people. In other words, they stay with the service business and they kind of never make another run at it. But in your case, you did the opposite. You licked your wounds, it sounds like, and then did launch what ultimately became a successful product. Maybe describe why you thought, what was it that made you confident you could win, even though your first product was a failure?
I was not confident, to be honest. And I think that's the lesson. I think I like risk. I would describe myself as a gambler, I would say. And I really like to build stuff. And especially Bogdan and I, we were builders and we just like projects. And I think that's one of the reasons why the service business was going bad as well, because we like so much building stuff that we kind of neglected the service business. But on the other end, we were kind of addicted to the revenue stream that provides the services. So I think you described it well. We're kind of stuck in this business, but like our hearts were into building a product or building stuff. So that's pretty much it.
So what happens next?
Next, in summer 2016, I hear myself in the background, so that's why I have some issues to concentrate. So in 2016, we launched a Shopify app. It was August 2016, the 4th. I know the date because I checked when it was approved by Shopify yesterday, so to be sure that we launched an app. And I would like to explain how we came up with this idea, because I think the audience will appreciate that. So what we did, Bogdan and I mainly, Hugo was still operating the services and managing the clients. So he had the boring job. So Bogdan and I, we sat down. He was in Montreal with me, and we checked what are the next big industries, or the industry that are quite big now, but they will still grow. And more specifically, we check what are the platforms that we could just build like a plugin or an extension or a widget because one of our weakness was marketing and sales. So we needed something that sells by itself. And within the platform, we were like, okay, I think that's the best bet for us to focus on building products, and someone else or something else, the platform, will make the sales for us. So we came down to the conclusion that there were two platforms, Salesforce and Shopify. So we either would build a plugin for Salesforce or for Shopify. So we began just reading the complaints within the forums of Salesforce and within the forums of Shopify. We checked who are the merchants in case of Shopify, because I remember more Shopify because this is what we ended up building. So we checked the merchants, the developers, what were the complaints. We kind of just did a spreadsheet. We were counting the number of times each topic was repeating. And then we went into it and we went, okay, so we have like the quantitative analysis. Let's go with the qualitative analysis and how painful each of this is. And the discounting, everything around promotions within Shopify was, according to us, what was the most painful for the merchants and even for the developers as well. So this is what
interesting.
Yeah.
So you went onto forums, like Reddit forums and those kinds of forums. Like what sorts of forums were you looking at?
Specifically for Shopify, there's something called community forums, like Shopify.community, or I don't remember the URL. But if you Google like community forum Shopify, it's the first result, and you'll see like this is something that they've built. It's open to the public, and they actually manage most of their tickets, or a lot of tickets, publicly open to everyone, so everyone can benefit from the answer from the question of other people. Yeah.
So you're scrolling through all of this verbatim commentary, and you're categorizing them. And one category that seems to be prevalent and popping up regularly is how to handle promotions and discounts. If I have a Shopify store, that seemed to be a frustration for a lot of Shopify users. Is
exactly.
That right?
And that was the part of the quantitative. We were just counting. And then when you start to read and you see like exclamation mark, uppercase, why is BigCommerce doing that? Why is WooCommerce or WordPress doing that and not Shopify? I cannot believe I pay for this. You can feel the pain. And this is where it started. Yeah.
Interesting. And so you identified the kernel of this product idea through the forums. And what ended up being the product that you developed? What was it called? What did it do?
Well, we still had in mind the social experiment that we wanted to build. So we were like, okay, let's say instead of building a platform and being a competitor to Shopify, let's say we build it inside Shopify. So the same logic of what I explained before, with the pricing affected by the behavior and the actions of the users. But to do so, we needed three like kind of parts. And the first part was to be able to automate the application of a discount. And this alone was not possible. And when we started to look for it, like, why is it not possible? Then we saw an even bigger pain than we saw before. Like people were really, really, really mad. Like, so we sat down, Bogdan and I think it took 3 weeks to build the first version of the app, the MVP. This is the version that we actually submitted to Shopify. And that was only it. It was a way to generate a link that will apply a discount, which sounds like really stupid when I say this aloud. Now I'm like, this is so obvious. But at this time in Shopify, it was not possible to do that. So this is what we did. It was just a link generator that has a coupon or a discount attached to it.
And Shopify approved the app, and you were off and running in this.
Well, we launched in August.
New feature.
Exactly. Sorry to interrupt, but we launched in August, beginning of August. It was approved by Shopify. So it was built like 3 to 4 weeks before that. And within the first 3 to 4 months, we got 1,000 customers paying for that. Yeah.
Wow. What do they pay for?
$3 or $4 per month. It was $3.99 the first pricing. But at this time, honestly, John, we were pricing based on, like, it's so obvious and so simple, it should not be worth a lot. We were not pricing based on the pain or the willingness to pay for something, which was a mistake that we realized later. But at this time was like, it's so simple and it only took us 3 weeks to build. Well, people will not be willing to pay for that, which was a mistake. But
why do you say it was a mistake? What did you come to learn about pricing?
Well, we came to learn that we can increase it a lot based on what is the value perceived by the customer, or the time that they save, or the actions that they can make with it, and not based on how much does it cost for a server, how much does it cost for employees and stuff like that. So it was more like a value-based pricing rather than a cost-based pricing. So
how much did you increase the price to? Like, what does it sell for today?
Today, I saw someone, John, during Black Friday, who paid like $12,000 for a month.
Sorry, $12,000 per month
for this specific, for Black Friday, we like almost a year ago, in April last year. I'm not sure when this recording will be launched, but so in April 2021, we decided to switch from a monthly fee to a fee, a percentage of the sales that come from our app. So if you're making a sale that use our app to create the promotion, then you're paying like within 0.6 to 0.9%, depending on the plan.
You move to the credit card model.
Yeah, exactly. We called it a success fee, but it's more like a conversion fee if the promotion sells, but it's free if you don't make any sale with the app. So we saw,
and so you saw somebody selling a product for 12 grand.
Not a product, but we saw commissions, like the success fee that we made. It was a bit more than $12,000. So wow. We went from $4 per month to $12,000. So that's the edge case, I would say. But it was. I mean, we would have never dreamed of someone paying more than like $100 per month. Like even 100 was like 25 times more than 4, right? So yeah, exactly. I mean, I laugh, but
and would $100 a month be pretty typical of what you would get from a customer today using this new model?
Well, before we reached this model, we tried everything. I don't think that would be a good strategy in a big corporation. Like, let's say, for example, when Netflix raised by $1, everyone screamed, "Oh, it's too much." We were trying different models. We tried like we tried a model based on the monthly, but also based on the Shopify plan that the people are having. So, for example, if you are on a Shopify Plus, let's say you pay $2,000 per month to be on Shopify Plus, you most likely have more sales and more traffic. So it costs us more to serve you. And for those people, we were charging, I mean, it went from $39, $49 up to $99 before we changed the pricing model. Yeah, so it was $99 for the top stores when we decided to change the pricing model.
And what went into the decision to change to a transaction fee or a success fee?
We built analytics at the end of 2021. And we were actually, the years before that, we were always staying all weekend long during Black Friday and Cyber Monday weekend. So it's Thanksgiving in US. And we were seeing the number of times our script were called, and the number of discounts and promotions and everything. And at some point I told, or Bogdan told me, because at this time we were only Bogdan and I, and we can come back to it later, but Bogdan told me, man, if we were just charging like $1 or 0.5% or something ridiculous, we would make within a weekend like a quarter of all the year. So I mean, it's hard to sleep after that, knowing that you can do that and not doing that. So that's why we decided to change. And the analytics after that we built proved that. So it proved that we will make less money on the people that will not pay, because a lot of people were installing the app, keeping it, either making 1 or 2 or 3 sales or not, or just, they set up the promotion. They're afraid that if they uninstall the app, all their settings are lost. So they keep the app, or sometimes they actually forget the app exists. Let's say it would cost like $4. I mean, I think that's the business model of all the subscription business that we have, like Spotify or Netflix or whatever. So but when we saw the analytics, we were like, okay, maybe we will charge less people in terms of number of people, but the people that we charge and the people that benefit from the benefits of the app will pay more. And well, we actually tested up to how much they're willing to pay, and it was hard to know, but I think it was based on the number of complaints we get, like when you increase that. Yeah.
That seems like a giant bet, the company decision, in the sense that you have this install base of people paying you on a regular basis for the application on a monthly basis, like a SaaS model. And then to move to a transaction model, that feels like a giant.
You're right.
bet.
You're right. But I didn't mention, and I should mention, all the people that were installed before we made the move stayed on the monthly. So
okay.
it was a lot less risky because we didn't force the people to upgrade to the new business model, to the new pricing. But all the new users that were installing, or let's say, John, you have the app on day one, on day two, we make this new change of new pricing. If you uninstall after and you reinstall, then you pay the new pricing model. So it was also a way for us to kind of reduce the churn of existing users, because they would be aware that the pricing would change if they uninstall, and it was also a way to minimize the risk because we were testing only on the new users. Yeah,
that's super helpful. You alluded to the fact that it was just you and Bogdan at this time.
Right.
What happened to Hugo?
We decided to buy back his shares. I actually bought back his shares in 2020. Yeah, in September 2020.
And so I'd be curious to know how you valued the company at that point. So September 2020, maybe describe sort of whatever you can about revenue. Like, where were you on a revenue, annual recurring revenue or profit? Or I'd be curious to know how you valued it.
In September 2020, curiously, we were still making some services. I mean, it's hard for me to even say it. Like, we knew the other app was booming, but for some reasons, like having Hugo, but not only that, but we actually needed to have some tasks for him. So we kept the services client, but it was really distracting and we lost focus with it. So that's one of the main reasons why I decided to purchase back his shares and to shut down the service business completely.
And did you value the company based on, like, I mean, so you had two forms of revenue. You had the services revenue, and then you had the application revenue.
Yeah.
And so I'd be just curious to know how much revenue you had from each side of the business, and then how you went about valuing it.
At this point, we had more revenues with the product, with the Shopify apps. But at this point, we were breaking even, like profit-wise.
On the product or the service?
Well, on everything, because we were, I'm not sure what we were doing with the money, but Hugo was in charge of bookkeeping and all, money-wise and client-wise and everything. And I actually didn't know exactly where the money was going. And that's the other reason why I wanted to actually be accountable and, take responsibility for it. But to answer,
so ballpark, how much revenue were you generating if you combine the two?
We were around 700,000 Canadian, so would be like 550 US or something like that. 500,
yeah. Okay, so you're around 700,000 Canadian, which is a mixture of product and service.
Yeah, but I think we were down like 12,000, like net. No, on the net profit was a net loss of 12,000 or something like that. And
And Derek, are you paying yourselves out of the business?
Yeah. It was including
your salary, Hugo's salary.
And I think we paid ourselves pretty good. I think it was at that time something within like 60,000 or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. So you're paying yourself, you break even, and then how did you figure out how much to buy Hugo out for? Like, how did you value the company for the purposes of the buyout?
Well, it was also mainly it was a discussion between him and I. We're still friends and we're still in good relationship. He asked for he asked for an amount. I said I'll give you this, and then we had a discussion. But basically, I knew the growth potential, and I knew I would be a lot more motivated now that I own more shares, and also now that Bogdan owns more share, because afterwards I sold a bit of shares to him. So I knew both of us would be more motivated and more focused. So, long story short, I gave pretty much what he asked for. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was not a lot, but it was, for him, it was a.
Do you mind sharing what it was and how you?
The company has had some debt but the money that came out of my pocket with a loan as well, because I was broke. It was around 150,000 Canadian, plus I think he got like a bit less than $200,000. Yeah, Canadian.
Got it. So how did you value this 700 grand? Like, did you like? I guess my question is, how much of the business did he own? What proportion of the business were you buying out effectively?
I was buying 25%, a bit less than 25, 24, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So he's placing the value of the company around something in the kind of 800.
Well, the company was more valued, to answer your question directly, because of the product and the Shopify app. So this is what the value came from, because the other part, I mean, no matter how you win or not win, but no matter how you earn top line, if the bottom line is negative, well, I mean, it's worth nothing, at least according to our accountants.
Yeah. And so you took over the accounting.
Yeah.
And what did you learn about the numbers based on digging into the kind of accounting stuff?
Well, first of all, I had to upgrade to a real accounting system because we were using spreadsheet. And I think maybe it's the karma, but I think when you use spreadsheet and you color everything with columns and then colors and pink and blue and yellow, it feels like the money is not attracted to it. So it's like you're jinxing yourself because you're not using something real. The money likes to be structured and to have a nice system. And this is what I did first, to migrate everything from spreadsheet for the years before and to use, we use something called Wave accounting. Yeah.
Wave accounting. Yeah. Heard of it for sure. So you're into Wave and what did you like? I remember seeing some notes, pre-interview notes from our producer that you developed an acronym called PURE.
Yeah.
Maybe describe what that acronym was and how you used it.
Yeah, sure. So basically, when you export the profit and loss every month, I was doing this. So it's kind of rows and columns. I mean, you can see like all the revenues, all the expenses. So next to each expense and revenue, I was writing a letter or a symbol. Each letter is PURE, was the action that I wanted to make for the next month or for the next period. For example, when I saw Shopify app, the revenue was growing. So I was writing a P or a plus because I want more of that, because this is profitable. So the P was for profitable. When I was seeing something like the services or a client in particular in the list, I was writing, for example, U for unnecessary, or so this is something that I want less. The R was something that I can replace. Usually it was some expenses or people that I saw I gave to him $15,000. I could maybe hire someone cheaper or someone better, or I pay my phone $75 and I could add something at $50 instead. So R was something that is replaceable. And the E is for equal. That means that I expect the next month to be quite the same. So there are expenses like life insurance or stuff that will be like servers. But even the servers, we were digging into it and say, okay, how can we pay less of CDN? Or how can we pay less of this tool or that tool? And yeah, this is what it was like my own personal game that I was playing with myself to achieve the highest, net margin as possible.
Love it. Yeah. And it's a nice little acronym. So PURE, things plus, unnecessary, replace,
Yeah.
or
Well, it
equal,
was
and
plus
going through every line
minus.
item.
No, it was plus X to delete it unnecessary, minus to replace or to have less, to reduce or replace, and equal. The equal sign just to. So I was just Sorry. Go ahead.
So when you took over the bookkeeping, you guys were break even. What impact did you doing the bookkeeping and using this pure system have on your profitability going forward? Like, how did your profitability change?
Well, I realized when I was there was the first task I did with the bookkeeping was to elaborate more, or I don't know the English word for it, but to actually see more of each of the expenses or the revenue subdivided, like, because the way the Hugo and the accountant built it, it was like all of our expenses were into one or two groups, like web design.
Mm-hmm.
But what is that? I mean, I don't know where the money is going. And all the revenues were in revenues, or like as global as this. So I wanted to have something more narrow, and I wanted to actually see every group and more detailed. So when I did that, I realized that, well, it's clear that the money is coming from one single app, which was like 93% of our revenue.
And that might be confusing for people because at this point you had broadened from just the pricing application on Shopify. You had launched some additional applications.
Exactly. Right? Well, that was, in my opinion, when I look at it, it was another mistake that we made. We were trying to de-risk the business instead of focusing on the app that actually boomed in 2016 and 17, and then it plateaued. And then we were like, okay, it plateaued. Well, we should maybe build other apps. So in 2017 and 18, we built 1, 2, 3. We came down to having 6 apps in total. Only 2 of them were really making money, and 1 of them was really making money compared to them. But I think it's now that I know a bit more about investing in business, I think it was to be expected. But yeah, we came down to 6 apps. Yeah.
So you had 6 apps, but when you got into the accounting, you realized that 92% of your revenue was coming from just one of those.
Yeah.
apps.
Well, the day we sold, I checked like the revenue. So this is more fast forward in 2022 when we sold like a month and a half ago. More than 90% of the revenues were from one app. Yeah.
Wow. And so what else did you do as you got into the accounting? You saw that 90% of your revenue is coming from one app. What else did scrutinizing your accounting using this pure acronym do? Like, what other changes happened?
Well, it was now easier and clearer. Like the big picture was clearer for me that, for example, this application relies on this person, but this application is not making more. So I could let go this person. And was like just looking at it. And every day I was trying to do one simple task, one action that would help my pure business. And every month I was checking in like the month prior, and I was like, did I do the task that I said to myself I would do? And I was kind of punishing me if I didn't, hurting myself and stuff.
How profitable did you get this business on a percentage basis before selling?
According to Wave Accounting, it was 82% net profit margin, including our salary.
Wow.
But according to the broker that built, the PDF document that was sent to it, because he was using the SDE, and I think you can explain more what it is for the audience that doesn't know. So it's the seller discretionary earnings. So it was excluding our salary, Bogdan and I's, and it was like 94% or something like that. It was too high. Wow. I was like, man, it's too high. I would like to buy myself the business back. So.
That's incredible. I mean, to go from a break even to like 80, 90% net profit margin is unbelievable.
Yeah, it was 82. Yeah.
Even after paying yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. So what was the trigger that made you want to sell? Because I think a lot of people listening to this would be like, 90% profit margins. This is like, hang on to it forever.
You're right.
This is like the golden goose here. What made you decide to sell?
One thing was your book, to be honest. when I read Built to Sell and the Art of Selling, then I really understood that like most of the money I'm going to make in my life is selling the business. no matter if it's really profitable, let's say we were earning 80 cents on every dollar we were gaining top line. But this also has tax. And in Canada, I think you're still in Canada, you know that tax are high. And in Quebec specifically, it's like 52% of my salary would go to. So when I made the calculation based on what I expected as valuation for the sell, it was kind of roughly like 25 to 80 to 25 to 30 years of salary that I would gain if I sell the company. So yes, I like the fact that it was really a well-tuned and oiled business, nice cash flow. But on the other side, I was kind of tired to do that. I wanted to do something else. And also I had more to lose, I would say, than to win. Because, if I gain 30 years of salary on the other side, why would I keep the business? So that's the math we came down to.
Yeah, when you put it like that in terms of years of salary, it's an interesting way to think about it for sure. So what did you do next? I mean, did you hire an advisor, a broker, or did you do it yourself? What was the process like?
Yeah, we hired a broker. His name is 𝙁𝙊𝙐𝙇𝙇 from 𝙁𝙊𝙐𝙇𝙊𝙒 Capital. So he actually emailed us a few times before we decided to jump in. Well, I agreed to make a first call, and then a second call, and then a third call, but we were not ready. I think I would say I'm pretty much sure that I'm not alone, not being ready to sell, because you always want to make a bit more. Okay, we'll wait. The business is going to be better. Because prior to actually agreeing to go with the broker and listing it for sale, Bogdan and I told ourselves, let's do 12 nice months, like the 12, most profit month that we can do, because the last trailing 12 months will be the period analyzed by any potential buyer. And I didn't know that, but when reading your book and other books, I've learned that. So, but we are not finished. The 12 months were not done when we started to say, okay, we're going to list it for sale. So we listed for sale before we were kind of finishing the 12 months, but we were like 10 months in already. So we were kind of happy of the performance. And 𝙁𝙊𝙐𝙇 told us, well, the market is going down, and it was mid-summer 2022. And I didn't know that, if the public market goes down, the private market goes down as well. So he was saying we should make a move now, or, you should actually wait, that because the valuation will be much lower than the last year during COVID, where valuations were crazy high.
Yeah, I want to get into all that. Before we do, though, what stage are you at in terms of revenue at this stage when you're looking to bring on a potential advisor? Where are you kind of top line?
Close to $1 million ARR. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. And had you any sense of what it could be worth before, testing the market? It sounds like you had done some math to know that it might be 20 or 30 times your salary. So where are you getting that number from? I guess is my question, like that benchmark.
Okay. Yeah, I was checking the valuation. I was checking also some rules that private equity firms have. Like, for example, they will not buy for more than 4 times your revenue, your annual recurring revenue. I was also checking other types of business, like that they sell for 3, 4, 5, 6 times the profits. I was more focused towards the profit because, for us, 4 times the revenue was like 5 times the profits if you make the 80% rule. So for other businesses, 4 times the revenue is huge because they don't make any money bottom line. But for us, it was kind of the same thing. So that's, I made some research and I saw, but also I was talking to the broker 𝙁𝙊𝙐𝙇𝙇, who gave me, here's what I think. And in the past, he sold his own business himself. So he knew, like, okay, so regardless of the fact that he has a success fee that he's only making money if he sells, I would, do this if it was my business because of these reasons. So he was really helpful in that. Yeah.
And what did he think it could be worth? Like, did he give you a multiple of profit or any sense of like a range at all? Or?
Well, At first, he said people would be paying somewhere like around 3 times the revenues. Yeah, yeah,
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. That's what he felt that.
well, yeah,
That
he said like a
you could
few months
probably get.
prior it would be 4, maybe 5, but now, at this point, I think the Nasdaq was like 20% down from all-time high. Like all the top stock, including Shopify. Well, one of the potential acquirers, he said, "Well, I could buy Shopify for 6 times the revenue. Why would I buy your company for 6 times the revenue?" So it was a good argument. Like it's a much safer bet
Yeah.
to bet on Shopify, which was down like 70% from all-time high. So, well, I didn't know what to answer, except, well, I
Yeah.
cannot
Yeah.
say we're better than Shopify, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of listeners are dealing with this right now. Here, we're recording this in the early part of 2023, where almost every
Yeah,
industry, technology has taken the biggest hit, obviously, but virtually every industry is down to some extent. And I think a lot of people are saying, well, maybe I'll just ride this out for a year or
right,
two, wait till the market comes back and then
right.
sell. You made a different decision though, because you decided to continue on. Maybe walk me through your decision-making process that even though the NASDAQ was down 20%, you still decided to sell.
Well, I would say when you sell low, usually you have money and then you can buy low as well. Because it's like if you buy a house at the top of the market, well, you won't live in the street for 3 years waiting for the market to go down. So you need to buy another house pretty expensive or too expensive for what it's worth. So when I, realized that, it was like, okay, so I will get less money, but the money I have is worth more because everything will be at a discount. So that's kind of the bet I took. Another reason was we were 100% dependent from a platform, and that's one of the reasons why our multiplier was lower, because we were not in control of our clients. They are clients from Shopify, not from us directly. Shopify charged them, so we're not the first point of contact towards the money. Like we're not the people that actually charged them. So Shopify charged them. So the fact that we were dependent on Shopify, and the fact that Shopify was, laying off people. Well, I asked back then, do you believe that Shopify will still be there in 5, 10 years? I'm not sure. It goes so fast in this world. Also, the fact that they are often making, breaking change in the API and all the tools that we're using. So they are changing stuff. So we always need to build other stuff. And at this point, we were only 2 people full-time, Bogdan and I, and another developer part-time. So we didn't have the team, if there was a huge change, to actually be able to rebuild or to refactor the app. So that, there was a mix of stuff, I would say. Also the family, I have 2 young kids, and, I think it was safe to get my eggs out of the basket. And
Yeah, makes good sense. Yeah, you're referring to something called platform risk that we talk about on the show
right,
quite a bit, where the rising tide lifts all boats. It's wonderful when Shopify's on a trajectory to the moon. You get to kind of ride on their coattails. Equally, though, the more dependent you become on Shopify, the more effectively dependent you are
exactly,
on the whims of that platform.
exactly.
So you were 100% Shopify at this
Yes.
point. That was where all of your revenue was
Yeah,
coming from. People adding your application in their store.
When we started, I met a guy, Reza, his name, from Shoelace, which is a big app in Shopify. He told me, well, you can try to build one app across multiple platforms, so to scale horizontally, or you can try to focus on one platform. And he actually told me you should focus only on Shopify, because like, even if we're present on other platforms, I think at this point, 80 or 90% of his revenue was from Shopify. So, the fact that you need a lot more developers if you build on other platforms, it was money that we didn't have at this time. So that's why we decided to focus. We knew we were depending on a platform, but I didn't know the real impact of it, especially when you're trying to sell it. So let's say I would go, for example, hypothetically, you can sell for 4 times revenue there, but if you're a real SaaS, 100% autonomous, you can sell for 10 times revenue. So that's, that's a big difference.
Yeah. Okay. So your advisor is saying, look, NASDAQ's down, Shopify stock is down. You may have got, you're dependent on Shopify. So look, I think 3 times is probably a pretty good outcome. And so your reaction to that was, okay, great. I can go shopping for cheap stocks with the money.
No.
let's make a deal.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I was disappointed by that because we made so much effort. Like I was playing a game with my pure business type of game, but at the end of the day, it was not just a game that I was playing. I was expecting, because I made good effort to bring the profits as high as possible, to be paid based on that. So when I learned that, well, it doesn't really matter your profit, we're paying based on revenue, I was like, and they're really checking. I think it's really important for the audience to especially in this industry, they're really checking the growth rate and the story that you're selling. So they were checking the revenue, the growth rate, of course, the churn, but also the story that you're selling. Like, how can we, the new acquirer, bring this to the next level? And this is all, it's part of all the stuff that I learned when selling.
And what was the story you were telling? So let's back up. So you decide to engage and hire this M&A professional to take you to market. What was the story they painted about your business? What was the narrative they chose to sort of tell the marketplace about you guys?
Yeah, well, we still had a nice growth, especially the main app, because we decided when I purchased back Hugo, we decided to focus like for a year and a half, almost 2 years, only on one app. Not that we ditched the other apps. We actually sold to one of them and deleted another one. But we still maintained them. But we really focused all the new development on one app.
So how much was it growing at the time of the acquisition on a percentage basis?
It was over 25%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got this app. So part of the narrative is there's an app. It's growing 25% year over year.
But the profit was a lot more growing, than the revenue. But the revenue was around like 15 to 20%, maybe a bit more.
Okay.
But the number of users, because we had switched the business model, was not growing. So, when you're selling something, the acquirers or potential acquirers will always point, the weaknesses to try to bring it down, the valuation. So they were saying, okay, let's say I cannot share exactly the number of users and the revenue because I'm legally binded. But let's say you have 2,000 paid customers last year, and now you have like 2,000 customers again paid. So you have no growth. So they were focusing on stuff like that just to try. But the advisor played a big role, and because he has experience in knowing, what to counter or what to reply to those.
How did he counter that?
Well, he focused a lot on the new business model, the fact that we need less paid customer to make a lot more money. So that was a big part of the PDF that he built. It was like 60 pages, really, really nicely done. So that, I think, was the main counter-argument. The fact that also the e-commerce industry was slowing down a bit after COVID. That was really, really high. 2022 was, so he blamed it on, the sector itself. But he also said, well, they're having quite the same amount of users. I think we had a bit more. But they're making a lot more money, and they proved that it can be run with 2 people, which was, at this point we didn't know, but that's another topic. We didn't know if we needed to staff up a bit, to transfer the knowledge and the people and everything. But at that point, we wanted to prove that it could almost run like with, well, not almost, it could run with 2 people and even with 1 people if this person is pretty good. Yeah.
Excellent. And so what was the reaction of the marketplace?
At the beginning, it was silent, to be honest. We were scared. We were like, man, the PDF, memorandum document was, it's really, really good. I'm not sure if Attila had received some offers or some LOIs, but he didn't share with us for 2 or 3 weeks. We had he was in touch with us saying, well, he contacted his network. But after, I think when you're ready to sell, you're ready to sell, and you expect, some fast reply because you're like, my business is strong and it's good and you should buy it. But that's not what happened. And beginning of August, we received 3 LOIs, from 3 different companies. So that was.
And what was your reaction to those?
The first one was pretty good, I would say. It was near, the ballpark number we discussed, like 3 times ARR. I think Attila was pretty right, pretty accurate with his estimate. So we were kind of a bit disappointed again, because the reality that he told us would happen actually happened. So we decided to wait, and then another came and a third one came. So we got 3 different LOIs. Yeah.
And what was the difference in valuation between the highest and the lowest in terms of on a percentage basis?
The second offer that came in, I think we rejected it automatically. It was, it was too low. I think they tried to lowball us, or I don't know how you say it in English.
Lowball.
They tried to lowball us. And it was in percentage based, it was like 20% less than the previous one or something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then a third one came in, which was very similar, almost like if they would have talked to the first acquirer. Like it was almost a copy paste in terms of the numbers. So I guess they use the same metrics when they make offer. And when I say they, I'm talking about private equity firms, because the 3 offers came from private equity firms, PE firms. Yeah.
Got it. And now a little bit of time has passed since this process, and I'm wondering if you think your advisor may have sort of tipped off the market acquirers what you'd be prepared to pay. Let me back up. So when you're selling a house, 2 schools of thought. You can tell your broker, hey, look, I got to get, I don't know, $1 million for the house, and let's list it at $1.2 million, and whatever. And then the broker has that in the back of their mind. They're like, okay, I know what is their bottom line is, and they subtly kind of hint to the buyer that, hey, if you can get your offer up to X or Y, I think we can get a deal done. Do you think in retrospect, a little bit of water under the bridge, that was happening, that he may have been sort of tipping the buyer that this is kind of the number you need to come to?
Yeah, that actually crossed our mind back then, because he was paying up based on a success fee. So if he's not selling, he's not paid. So we didn't know what was happening under the curtain. Like, what is he saying? Actually, after a few days, I was like, I'm curious. This is my business. It's my opinion. I think I should know, what is the pricing are you asking for? And he didn't price it. So I was like, wow, so we're selling the business at no price? He said, no, I'm going to wait for the market or for the potential acquirer to give them, for them to give us a price. And I was surprised. I was actually shocked by that. I didn't expect that.
Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting. So there was no price.
So he was letting.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So he was letting the market. But you had a hunch that maybe he was tipping off the buyers.
I think, I thought, I think every human has good faith. I believe to that truly. So I was giving him the benefit of the doubt. So yeah, we were kind of disappointed by the offer, but on the other hand, we had 3 offers. So I asked him, can you try to, pump up a bit the pricing and, make kind of a bidding war? And he actually did. And he paid himself, by himself, just by the increase of the pricing he came down with. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So he was able to raise the price enough to warrant his fee.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm not sure if it was the first time that it happened for him. He has a lot of experience, but he told me you usually don't see that. So what happened is that we didn't get the pricing based on the profit margin we had, but we sold because it was a really profitable business. So let me recap, because I'm not sure I'm clear. So the pricing, the offer we got was based on the revenue and the growth and the story and everything. But we would not have sold with this giving market and condition if it was not as profitable as it was. Because, the investors of the private equity firms and everything, they saw that they would recoup their money faster than if it was not profitable, and other reasons for that. So at the end of the day, the fact that we had like 80+% profit margin, it helped us to actually close the sale. So that I was really glad about it. And this is what it took to actually make the big bidding war, saying like, okay, let's say you pay 3 or 4 times the profit. It's actually paying not 3 or 4 times the revenue. It's actually paying them for their profits. So can you increase and make a better offer? Because meanwhile, we got a better offer. Like the first offer that came in, which was rejected automatically with a polite reply by Attila saying, well, thank you, blah, 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 blah. They came back with a 50% increase on their first offer. Almost a 50% increase. Yeah.
50. Wow.
Yeah. Or like 40% or something, but so
significant.
Significant. And, to a point that we were like, okay, money is not everything in a deal, the terms and the feeling and the gut feeling that we got when we were discussing during calls with them. But at the end of the day, the amount is so great, we have to take this offer. But we didn't take this offer. So that's the cool part. So we were
which one did you take?
Yeah, we were about to close with this. I don't think I'm allowed to pronounce, to say the names out loud. But we were about to take this offer, which was an increase of 40 to 50% from the prior offer, like a few weeks before. I think that was like end of August. Yeah, it was end of August. Because Bogdan was with me in Montreal, so I remembered the dates. And then I told Attila, we really had a good feeling with this other company. Can you tell them and it was not his idea. I mean, he was not sure about it. I say, let's be transparent. Tell them this is the offer we got. No bullshit. Tell him the amount. Tell him we're about to sign with them because we have a deadline. It was on a Sunday. It was like at Sunday noon. We have to sign, otherwise the offer is not there. So it was like in a movie. That's why I said, I don't think he ever lived that. He said he didn't. So, and then he came back on a Saturday night to the other company and he told them the truth. And they spent the whole night trying to figure out a new offer. But they wanted, because it was the weekend, they were not, in a place, or they were not able to go to their board, to their investor, to ask for more money. So they went up to the limit where the board would accept. So that's what they told us. Maybe it's bullshit, but anyway, we were kind of glad that they spent an overnight because we felt they wanted us. We had a really good connection. I think this is the niche that they were targeting, like specific sales, promotion, marketing within Shopify. And they made an offer that was better than the other offer that we were about to take. Yeah.
And this company we can name is Stay Tuned Digital, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is a public information.
Got it. And they've got a number of different apps in the Shopify marketplace. There's Shopify platform shop, so they have lots of strategic synergies.
I think they have 9 at the moment we're recording this. They have 9 apps.
Gosh, got it. What was the reaction to the company that came up 40% to find out that you'd gone with Stay Tuned Digital?
I don't know because I didn't talk to them, but Attila from Area Capital, he told me that he was like, well, it's part of the game. It's fine. I mean, if they have this offer, it's really great for them. And Attila was like, you should really take this offer because it's a really good offer given the market conditions.
Yeah. And I know we have to be a bit careful about the terms, but if you look at all 3 offers, just describe maybe how they treated the terms. Like, was it 100% cash or when you think about the 3 offers in aggregate, did they have a portion cash and a portion sort of on an earn out? Like, how did they sort of treat that, the deal terms?
Yeah, I would say, they were either like 2/3 upfront and 1/3 after a year or after 6 months. I mean, the terms of how long we stay with them, it was kind of a bit different, but the logic and the structure was all of the same. because they want to de-risk their investment. They want you to stay there for at least 4 to 6 months for knowledge transfer and, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was like either 2/3, 1/3, 3/4, 1/4, or it was more than that upfront at closing and less after a few months. Yeah.
And the variable piece, the piece that would come after 1 year, was that contingent on just staying at the company as an employee, or did you have to meet certain sales targets in order to achieve that extra third or whatever?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was actually curious of what would be, the contingent of one of them was just, you stay and that's pretty much it. The other twos, one of them was more based on the growth of the company. So it was like on a scale, if you make like 20% growth, we're paying this. If we make 0, we're paying that or nothing. It was capped to a maximum amount. And then the last offer was based on, okay, you need to provide this. For example, you need to improve the number of automated tests or unit testing that you have up to like 75, 80% of the coverage of all the code. And you can stay or you can leave after this is done. Like if you,
Interesting.
Yeah. So they were different.
So one had, so one had the variable piece contingent on achieving certain improvements to the product, another sales targets, and then a third simply just staying employed.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it was really different. But the offer that we actually accepted was more like we actually told them, okay, so let's say, I think it was like 4 to 6 months that they asked us to stay. We told them we're going to stay a year. And they were like, why? Why are you staying longer? We're going to stay a year, but we want a bit more incentive, like financially speaking. And we're going to help you doing this and this and that. So they were really pleased because I think we were giving them more if you compare the risk that they were taking, the money they were spending versus the money they were giving us, more. Because for them, let's say you're a private equity firm, if you throw in a few extra $100,000, sorry, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it's actually a detail, but for us, like a broke guy from Bucharest, Romania, and a broke guy from Montreal, I mean, a few $100,000, it's life changing, right? So that's that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hey, are you up for a quick lightning round of questions before I let you go?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. What is the slimiest trick an acquirer tried to play on you in trying to acquire your business?
I would say the first offer with the lowballing. Yeah. I mean, without broker, maybe we would have taken it. I don't know. Because if it's the only offer and we're really willing to sell, I mean, well, if it's worth what they say it's worth, let's take it.
What was the biggest mistake you made personally in the process of selling your company?
That's a good question. I think I made a lot of mistakes. Overall in the business, but in the selling the business itself, I think the biggest mistake, that's a really good question. I think it was to sell too late. Yeah. We should have sold earlier, like when the valuation was higher, but at the same time, we were not ready. The company was not ready. I think I made my move to buy back the shares of Hugo too late. I should have, when I got my second kid, this is when I realized, I need to have a legacy for them. I need to actually work less. My first kid, when I got the first kid in like 2017, this is when I decided to focus on the product and build and stuff. Because I knew my wife was pregnant. When I got the second kid, this is what, tipped me and said, okay, I need to buy Hugo. It was clearer now. I have less time. My wife, she works a lot. She owns 4 pharmacies. So she works a lot and I had a very little time. And I like my work time was like 15 hours per week maximum, I would say. So I waited too long. I think that's long story short, I think we should have sold it earlier. Yeah.
I've heard selling a business described as a kind of an emotional roller coaster. What was the lowest emotional point you reached in the process of selling your company?
Yeah, we reach a lot of highs and lows. I would say waiting for the offers. Like when you're so excited about the document, you send it to, and you have no control. I mean, you need to remember that when you hire a broker, it's not you who's in contact with the people. So I was really anxious about like having some news. Yeah, that was really hard for me to sleep. Yeah.
What was the highest point emotionally in the process?
The highest point, I think, the excitement of the bidding war when, the Saturday overnight stuff, Sunday, and then we actually on Sunday we spoke on a call with Stay Tuned. Serge, the CEO, was in a cabin in the New York. I don't know where. He barely had internet, and it was like really exciting for us. And we actually played it like if we would not accept his offer, we were like, well, not sure how to tell you this. We had other offers, and and then it was we're like, well, we decided to accept, and he screamed at it. I think this point was the the event that was the excitement peak.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What did you read? What did you consume to get yourself educated about the process of selling your business?
I've read and I still read a lot of books, yours included. I still have one that I started called this one that I have next to me.
It's called, so read that for folks who are not watching the video.
Playbook from Adam Coffey. I've read Bo Cunningham, I think it's called Exit Big or something like that. Finish Big.
Yeah, Finish. Yeah. Bo Birmingham. Yeah. We'll put that in the notes as well.
This one. Yep. I actually have it if people I'm a big reader. I actually like to read and write. I made a bet with my friend that I would read one book per week. I failed, so I have to pay him a dinner now, but I almost reached at least half of it. But yeah, anyway, I like to read a lot of stuff, including how to sell the business and run it.
Nice. What trophy did you buy yourself to commemorate the win?
Nothing yet. It's a bad answer. I'm not into material. I'm not a materialistic guy, especially when you have young kids. As soon as you buy, let's say I would buy an expensive car. My friend bought an expensive car, and his boy, like a 3 or 4 year old boy, he took a rock and draw on the car. So I don't want that. Even my couch is so used by my cats. I mean, it's terrible. So I don't want I don't know. We went to Vegas with, a few friends. We went to Vegas the day we were expecting to have the money, but then, it took 2 months later to actually close the deals. So it took 2 months. So I was in Vegas, pretending that I had money, but I was super broke.
How much did you lose that weekend?
I would say a few $100. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well,
nothing too major.
The last day I played the roulette and I was really, really lucky. So, I saved the day. I saved the weekend.
How would you describe the emotional dividend, the emotional payoff, or the psychological payoff of selling your business? If it wasn't a material thing, there must have been some sort of psychological payoff to having the money in the bank.
Yeah, I would say prior to having the money in the bank, just signing the document. I think it's maybe a cliche, but the peace of mind, like the stress, the level of stress, especially when you're selling, and because the people that are in this situation or that will be in this situation, you need to sell the business, but you also need to run it, because as soon as the growth slow down or anything, they can say, "Oh no, I'm out of the deal," or "Oh, I'm going to give you less." So you have 2 jobs, and I also have 2 kids to manage. So the level of stress and the peace of mind, that was the biggest gain for me. And now
Let me push a little further on that, because you shared that your wife owns 4 pharmacies.
Right.
So my mind goes to, well, that's a fairly lucrative job
Right.
and those businesses will be worth something. And so why was it important to you to have this win for yourself, given that your wife, presumably your spouse, also has lots of income or the potential for lots of income?
Well, she told me, if you don't make $2 million, I'm going to leave you. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. Well, I always like to, the business for me is kind of a game. I also feel like all the literature, all the movies and everything, all the social media, they share stories of people that are really successful. You never hear anything about kids, about family. It's usually one or the other, like black or white. I wanted maybe to prove myself that I could be a good dad, a present dad. I think I am, because my kids never went to daycare. So that's another. I'm really glad they started school, at least the oldest one. But yeah, I wanted to be able to be successful in business, to actually build and sell a business, and to also be a pretty good dad, with all humility. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're hitting it out of the park on both levels. So
Thank you.
Congratulations
Thank you.
on both personal and the business success. If folks want to reach out and say hi on social media, what's the best place to do that? Are you more of a LinkedIn guy, or what's Twitter? What's your preference?
I'm not super present, but I had to update my LinkedIn. So it's /DerekMorin, DEREKMORIN. I think you can put it in the notes, or anyway. But yeah,
we'll put it.
Yeah, on LinkedIn, I'll try to be more present. But when we launched the business, I stopped. I actually deleted Facebook, like on my phone, and Twitter as well. I re-signed up to Twitter when I knew Elon Musk was running the show now, because I like the guy. But I'm not a big social media present. I mean, people that call me or text me, I'll respond. But if you contact me on Instagram or Facebook, I'm not gonna be super responsive.
Okay. Well, we'll put your LinkedIn profile in the show notes at buildselves.com. This was super fun, Derek. Thank you for doing it.
Well, thanks to you, John, and keep writing good books and running great businesses.
I can't promise you that, but it was good to meet you and good to hang out with you.